What's going on, everybody? John here with you. It's a Saturday, August 23rd, 2025. How's everybody doing out there today? This should be a fun one. Again, it's been a while since I covered the hometown team, but it's the Kansas City Royals taking on the Detroit Tigers. Both of these teams have been playing pretty well of late. So first off, for Quatraro's squad, they've won 6 of the last 8. They are 66 and 63. Their lineup sounds like this. Yastrzemski will lead off. He'll DH today. Witt Jr. batting second, playing short. Vinnie Pasquantino batting third, playing first. It's Maikel Garcia in the cleanup hole. He'll play third base. Salvador Perez will catch, batting fifth. Adam Frazier bat sixth, play right field. Jonathan India in second. Randall Grichuk in left. Kyle Isbell in center will round out the lineup. Their bench will be Luke Maley, who will catch, and then you got the infielders Tyler Tolbert, outfielders John Rave and Nick Lofton. Michael Wacha will be the starter today. And for AJ Hinch and the Detroit Tigers, they are 77 and 53. They've won 10 of their last 12 after losing 12 of 13. And that was right after the All-Star break. Things were kind of falling apart. It looks like the Tigers have kind of found their level again, and they have a good lead in the AL Central again coming into today. Let me refresh these lineups here for you, but coming into today, I believe the Tigers have a 10.5 game lead in the AL Central. That's exactly what it is. Cleveland Guardians at 11.5. Again, it was 3 of 4 for Kansas City against the Texas Rangers, so this is not going to be an easy feat, but it's Colt Keith. He will lead things off, play third base. Gleyber Torres at second. Kerry Carpenter is going to bat third, play right field today, not the DH. Spencer Torkelson will be the cleanup man, play first. Riley Green will move down to the fifth spot in the order, play left field. Tigers are going to use both their catchers today. Dylan Dingler is going to DH. He'll bat sixth. Zach McKinstry in short. Javier Baez in center. Jake Rogers will catch. He will bat ninth. Bench will be Andy Ibanez, Trey Sweeney as the infielders. Winsell Perez and Jahmai Jones will be the outfielders. Chris Paddock's going to be the starter today. Again, his record at 4-11, not very good, but at least he's not playing against his former team, where he essentially received a whiplash from the Minnesota Twins. So if there is a game to win today for the Kansas City Royals and something that they want to tune in, this has got to be the one they get underneath Chris Paddock. So we're going to get set here for opening pitch in a moment. If there is any sort of rain in the Metro Detroit area, I believe it's going to be scattered. So again, I was almost anticipating a delayed start for maybe 40 minutes. Looks like that's held off. We could get maybe a half hour, 40 minutes toward now the 9 o'clock Eastern time. It shouldn't be anything too extenuous, and we should be able to get this game in totality. So here comes Chris Paddock, 4-11 record, 5.10 ERA, a strikeout rate of 17.2. The one thing about Chris, yes, the ERA, yes, the whip, and everything else is high. Again, you have 1.26 and a 5.10 ERA and 132 and a third innings pitched. But he will throw strikes, and he will throw in the strike zone. So if you're Kansas City, if you find something high, you got to leverage and swing at it. But for everything else, if you're the Tigers defense, you be aware, you try to turn double plays and get things moving quickly for Chris. So we're underway. Mike Yastrzemski so far this season against Detroit, 3 for 14. Again, part of that was in the 2-game series, I believe, against the San Francisco Giants before its trade. That's a beautiful curveball at 80 miles an hour. Caught the bottom part of the knees, make it 0-2. Again, tomorrow is going to be a good pitching matchup. Seth Lugo against Jack Flaherty. Flaherty went 7 scoreless in his last outing against the Astros. 95 up toward the dome will back him away. They'll be 1-2 against Yastrzemski. Now, that's part of the baseball savant that I was looking at for Chris Paddock. For his fastball, he has a tendency to throw it up and out of the zone and try to get you to chase. You want to lay out those 95s. 80 This one will be sent toward right field. No problem here for Kerry Carpenter as he camps underneath it and makes the catch for the first out of the ball game. So John Hunter with you at Comerica Park. Again, we should be able to get this whole entire game in. If there is any sort of extenuating rain or circumstances where I got to step out for a little bit, should only be like for an inning or so, and we'll be right back in. I think everything should be good today. All the stomach issues and all that should be done as well. So should have some fun with this one. Bobby Witt Jr., 294 average, 91. This is a candy corn right to third. Got to be quick though for Witt, and that was easy for Colt Keith. Will toss that one up in the air like a hand grenade off the bounce from Paddock, and then throw it over to first to Spencer Torkelson. So as they're profiling the defense, I don't know about all of you, but I still can't get over the fact that Javier Baez made the All-Star team as a center fielder, but you really can't argue with the routes that he takes in center field. Is able to get to the baseball. Pizza Man, Vinnie Pasquantino, as this is 80 toward the right side of the box on a curveball, gets the strike frame from Jake Rogers. That was more middle right. I'll be careful with that. Tigers' run line is -1.5, but that's going to be tough considering it is Paddock. This one hit very hard. I'll drive Kerry Carpenter to the warning track, but he will make the catch. 3 up, 3 down to start the ball game.
And it's why I love playing FanDuel Casino. There's more jackpots than ever before. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, Vinnie, jackpot.
FanDuel Casino, calling all Australia.
Use Perez every time you shop and get the right reward at the right time. Saving on the journey. That's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better with Perez at life. An injured knee might look pretty simple, but there's a whole person behind that injury. One who misses the feel of his jump shot and spending time with friends on the court. It's not enough just to heal. He needs to get back out there. At Trinity Health, we're here to help you reach your goals. We combine all the knowledge and expertise with National Health System with personalized healthcare that treats the individual behind the injury. Because we see all of it.
So the Tigers batting order is presented by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. This is slugging versus off-speed pitches. We'll see that quite a bit from Maikel. Carry with 450 his number, Green 525, the Kings very good number there as well. He's a 34-year-old that may be best known for his time with St. Louis Cardinals.
So Michael Wacha now going to get set to do battle here in the bottom of the first. 8.9 record, 3.34 ERA. A walk rate of just 6.3. Again, these are two starters today that are going to throw strikes. Colt Keith. And this will be right to center field. First pitch, Kyle Isbell going to be able to camp underneath it. And 1 down, 1 away here for the Tigers. And a 0-0 ball game. Again, we're really just getting underway here at Comerica Park. John here with you. I do have Ian Genge joining in when everything works out on that end. Change-up cutter, curveball, four-seam. Induced 11 whiffs in the May 31st game against Detroit. Again, the next weekend series will be at Kauffman. Here's Gleyber Torres, 92, just outside, up into the left of that box. As you check in for Gleyber Torres, the All-Star Tigers had 6 of those. Again, some of those were also added in a little bit later, as there was injury designations and guys that just didn't make it. 115 games played, 261 average, 13 bombs, 60 RBI, 66 runs scored, 64 walks, 72 strikeouts. So Gleyber is very good at finding the strike zone and trying to get pitch leverage, but it's a 1-2 count against him. For Wacha, again, it tops out at 93-75 on the curve, as this is 85 and a rare swing and a miss. on a slider outside the zone, and 2 away quickly here for the Tigers. So not too often do you see Gleyber Torres swing out of the zone, but he was a little bit late there on that changeup. And I'll leave it up to Kerry Carpenter. As AJ Hinch, for the most part, he got a lot of lefties he can use to leverage. Some guys on the bench, again, I'm not surprised not to see Winsell Perez today, but doesn't mean he's not going to be used. Same thing with Trey Sweeney and Andy Ibanez. Kerry Carpenter is at 100 games played so far, 22 bombs, 50 RBI, always a power threat. And again, I will never not blush with the shot of Emmanuel Clase as we go across the board. 0-1 on a fastball on the inside corner against Kerry. 261 average. 76 on that curveball. He followed straight back down the first base line. We'll do it again. I wonder if Ian is just a little bit away from the coverage area as we try to get him back in here, or I can punch him out and bring him back in and see if that will help. 94 followed up top, and we'll keep it going here. 99 stolen bases for the Royals, a little bit better than halfway across the league at 13. Tigers at 29. They were able to get a lot of those against the Astros and Spencer Arrighetti in the opening of that series. Did the 0-2 for a second time. This is a cutter at 87 miles an hour, way outside. Make it 1-2. Should be a jam-packed weekend at Comerica Park, knowing that this is a big series. I think the rain should be able to hold off for the most part. 79 served out across the plate. Both teams are going to go 1-2-3. Maikel Garcia has got his hand up to signify away from the shadows. It'll be 3 up, 3 down to begin the ball game on both sides. 0-0. Let's see if I can fix this, Ian. I'm going to bring you back in.
Get more than just savings. Get more with Geico.
Let's try to do this.
See, Bronco and Bronco Sport make every adventure more. Because they come with go boats, goes over any type of terrain. Like, what? Easy Bank customers can lease a Bronco Big Van for $4.99 a month for 36 months, with only $4.99 in cash for its signing. See your Southeast Michigan Ford dealer today. A car crash happens in an instant, and you can't take back the devastating effects. At Fire Law, we hold insurance companies accountable.
I tried to send an invite across here, Ian, see if that fixes itself. Or if not, I can reset the space. Just send me a message.
Football fans, all FanDuel customers get a shot to boost your winnings every Saturday. Claim your boost on Saturdays for a shot at even bigger winnings. That was with Greg Pesto. Chris Paddock, first pitch here in the second inning is to Maikel Garcia, who's reached base and now.
Okay. I need to send a message to here on Ian as far as for the YouTube side. Well, for the Twitter space at least, to see if he can listen in or be able to get in. I sent him an invite. See if it works. 2-0 is the count against Maikel Garcia. And again, if not for Bobby Witt Jr., you would think that this guy would be the everyday shortstop for the future here for the Royals. But really, they have two big leverage they can use at third and short. Excellent defense with a ton of speed and stolen bases, exactly the way that the Royals always play, at least throughout my lifetime. 94. This one toward the hands, and Riley Green able to camp underneath it and make the catch. So Chris Paddock able to throw into the strike zone here right now. Same thing for Maikel Wacha. That's what both of these like to do. Again, Paddock splits with the Tigers. Again, it was 5 2/3 against the White Sox and 6 innings against the Diamondbacks. We only get 1 run. He really just got smoked by his former team in the Twins. So we'll see what happens today. But again, as I mentioned coming into this broadcast, this is a game that the Royals have to get. As pitch number 12 is a strike from Paddock. Ian, glad to get you back in here and making sure everything is working.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It wouldn't let me request.
Zach McKinstry as this one shoveled over from Salvi, and he's got the first base hit of the ball game. That was a curveball that just hung up a little bit in the zone. And that's the first single here for the pretty much baby blue for the Kansas City Royals. Always like those uniforms. Again, I really don't want to see them change it ever. Those are classic ones. The same thing with the Tigers. Again, we got the next weekend series at Kauffman. So my plan is to cover both of these depending where we are in the standings. And if Kansas City's still hanging around in that wild card, Seattle was able to get a win yesterday, and the Red Sox absolutely destroyed the Yankees. I think that was 10-1. Only 1 run given up by Garrett Crochet as 0-2. That's a perfect fastball against Frazier. Make that 0-2 on inside black. Again, the one thing when Chris Paddock is right, he's going to throw strikes just like Wacha, and you got to be able to turn defense in your infield. Make sure you get that, either double plays or quick get it onto your glove. But I like that. You want to throw strikes, and you want to make sure that you command your fastball. That starts with everything else, but he's been able to do that today so far on a 1-2 count.
1-2 for Frazier.
Jonathan India would be next. Again, he's going to play second base today, as you got Salvi at first. Again, not going to give much of a lead there, considering where it is. Here's a good swing for Frazier. That should bloop right into center field, and Javi Baez is to play on a hop as the Royals go station to station. Back-to-back singles here for Perez and Frazier may have the Royals in business. That might have been looped in toward the end of the bat, but that's exactly what you're supposed to do, whether it's a duck snort or not. That's what you put in the box score. That's going to look like a line drive. That's what they always say, isn't it? Now Paddock's going to try to work his way out of it. Jonathan India not having those same numbers as he did when he started with the Reds, but still you'd like to see him make contact here. 94 misses up top just barely. Jake Rogers couldn't frame it and make it 1-0. And Salvador Perez is having some fun with Javi in center field as they exchange some smiles. Nothing wrong with that. Pitch clock down to 3. India. This is the McKinstry toss over Gleyber Torres, and that's a double play. Tigers get out of it in the second. We're still scoreless.
Yeah, that's about right for India. He's been. That's the reason they took him out of the leadoff spot. He was terrible after the All-Star break. And again, starting pitching, he's not good at all. He does his damage against the bullpen arms.
See, in one way, Ian, if I want to give a reverse compliment to Jonathan India, that's good to have late game leverage, but if you're not doing damage against the starters, essentially you're not doing damage for maybe 6 to 7 innings at a time. So no reason why, again, he's moved down in the lineup, and you're exactly right. So again, for the Royals, pretty good for them so far. As you mentioned, 6 of the last 8, 3 of 4 against Texas. And for Detroit, they're coming off of the sweep of the Houston Astros. And since losing 11 of 12, they've won 10 of their last 12. They've seemed to rebound as well. We'll see what happens in this series if the Royals can find a way to get a couple more wins. But Ian had mentioned me over the last couple of weeks, even with the Tigers struggling, that I don't see any way that the Tigers fall out of the AL Central. But that's the thing for me. As long as they avoid sweeps in the last two remaining series, again, you got this weekend and next weekend against KC, and then the final two series for the Tigers will be Cleveland, Red Sox, Cleveland, and they finish something else too. But you got two series at the end of the year against the Guardians, and then this one now. If you can just avoid the sweep the next couple of times over your opponents, that's what the Tigers really need. At least get one or two and leave it at that. As Michael Walker's back out there. Again, best run value on a changeup, plus 18. Only Christopher Sanchez, who's the two-pitch guy, plus 19. And Tarek Skubal at plus 21, average more. But I always liked Walker, especially from the Cardinals and now with the Royals. He will throw strikes. He's got 5, 6 different pitches he can use. He's just a really good pitcher. He doesn't have to try to frame or too much or throw. Just whatever Salvador is going to put down, he should be able to locate it. So 4, 5, and 6. Riley Green moved down a little bit in the order today, but it's Torque, Green, and Dingler. AJ Hinch elected to go with both of his catchers. Dylan Dingler is going to be the DH. The Ohio State Buckeyes, 1-1. 92. Torque gives a ride, but this will be short of the warning track. The fans got up in arms, but that was just a long fly ball, and no problem there for Randall Grichuk. There was a home run yesterday. Again, I was only able to catch the after effects because it was on Apple TV, but I did catch the replay about 3 hours later. Riley Green hit a ball toward right center field that was about 430 feet that he absolutely killed yesterday. And we'll see if he can do anything like that again. The one thing I have bolded in my notes, and you'd have to go in between Adam Dunn. You know him from the Nationals and multiple teams like that, but this should have been a strike there for walk-up at 2-0 on that curveball. 164 strikeouts for Riley Green. This is game 127. You get 162 on the year. He would probably need, there you get that frame call. He'd probably need to strike out about 60 more times in the span, but he could set close to an all-time record if he keeps that going. Tigers don't want him to, but he's got a lot of home runs. At 30, with 164 strikeouts to 38 walks, is just too many. You got to find a way to get more contact with the baseball. As they get a shot at Coach Q, it's a 3-1 count leverage here for Green. Here's a Tiger uppercut swing, but that's just foul toward the right field line. That would have been a double, but we'll do it again. So they're showing home runs against righties and lefties, but this time lefties on the graphic for FanDuel Sports Network. A lot of those on off speed and some inside fastballs. 89. This is a broken bat toward right field, and this will be collected, and Green will get the first base hit for him. That was Adam Frazier. Let's see what happened to the bat. This kind of just broke at the top, but he was strong enough to muscle it out to right field and get a base hit. Dylan Dingler has been ridiculously good for Detroit. He was one of those guys when you had voting leverage that you could use online. Some of the Tigers that would make it like Labor Torres, honestly, I didn't vote for it. I actually voted for Dylan because I think he's been one of those guys that's kind of come out of nowhere for Detroit. Again, you look at it, 100 games, 271 average, 11 home runs, 50-yard bat for a catcher is absolutely excellent. He does a good job framing as well. Again, Jake Rogers doing the duties today, but kind of does a little bit of everything. 93, doesn't back him up, but it's a sinker inside toward the kitchen. As you get a camera shot of Winsell Perez, a little bit of do-it-all. He's the switch bat normally in the outfield, but he's the utility man for the Tigers, kind of like Willie Castro used to be. 93, not close to the sinker, make it 2-1. Zach McKinstry would be next. He had a ridiculously good ball game last night. He was a double short of the cycle, the Central Michigan Chippewa product. 2-1. Not close on a slider, make it 3-1. They're showing the Royals bullpen usage. Billy Falter threw 57 pitches on the 22nd, so we know he's not going to be there. Maybe not Zerpa over the last couple of days. A couple of guys in the Royals bullpen might not be there. Garcia, excellent pickup and a double play against the Tigers. Back-to-back double plays, both frames. And they're turned away quietly. Still no score after 2.
Well, actually, John, I'll give you an update. Bailey Falter was placed on the IL for a left bicep contusion, but I can tell you this right now: they only put him on there to get another pitcher in that bullpen because since being traded here from the Pirates, he has been very disappointing. To say the
Right.
least. And look, I understand he was thinking when he pulled Berger, he was righty on lefty. He was at 90 pitches, and Riley for against the man for righties. Zerba coming in, looking back, it was the right move, but in a tie, he just made a mistake that allowed Riley Green to get on one. But bringing in Bailey, look, I know the bullpen. Look, the Royals bullpen up to that point was taxed. All right, they had a high usage rate from the home Sam Pride. But the thing is, putting Falter out there for that many, he gave up 4 in one inning. That was what lost them the game. Because Vinnie's 2-run knock could have possibly still happened in the 9th. And then we don't know what happens when Estevez or Ursay comes out.
Right.
No, I think they use Ursay. But the point is, he will not be pitching in the bullpen if they can help it. Falter, I mean.
Right. Now you laid that out perfectly, and I appreciate that for the update. So the injury kind of moves things along, and then from what you've seen, also I would say this too, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but what we watched the other day when I was last back on the broadcast with you for Sam Long, again, you're getting left out there a little bit too long as far as we were liking there for Coach Q, but when you get into this point of the time of the year, Ian, I mean, these guys are also kind of showcasing for possible postseason roster spots, and you got to be able to get outs.
Which Sam Long can do. Falter, in 10 innings pitched, he's given up 14 runs.
Yeah, that's not good.
This late in the season.
No, that's not good. You profile that over the trade, and that's just how you get left off the roster. You don't want to think about that now with a month still left to go in the season pretty much, but I think the leash starts to get short. And again, I even say that for Chris Paddock, who had a couple of really rough outings against his former team in the Minnesota Twins. But for me, for AJ Hinch, if I throw it across the other side of the ballpark and team, he's really auditioning for one of the final spots as a starter. And if he struggles over this last month, I leave him off the roster. So Randall Grichuk will pop up, and this will be caught at third base side for Colt Keith, as Jason Benetti is going to get some camera time with Andy Dirks. Again, Benetti, one of the very best in the business. Chicago White Sox with Jerry Reinsdorf again. They did him pretty dirty, but he's going to have play-by-play duties here in Detroit for a long time. He's already done a few Lions preseason games as well. Kyle Isbell has a 2-0 leverage count as the cutter misses low before we go to the top part of the order for the first time again for the Kansas City Royals. 266, 4 home runs, 28 RBI. At least for Isbell, I know he's got pretty good speed, and he's a defensive stalwart on that center spot. His 93 misses way outside, and Paddock is in danger of issuing his first walk of the ballgame. Pitch count's still pretty good at 27. As both of these pitchers, we said, profiling in will throw strikes. But that one was a little high. Good take there for Isbell. He draws a free pass. Get a chance to see what Yaz will do. And again, since the trade over from the Giants, he's actually been pretty good.
Very good.
233, 13 bombs, 36 RBI, but again, most of the damage now lately has been with KC as a changeup. This is 4 straight now that has come out of the zone. And Jake Rogers, we'll see if he wants to take an extra beat here to talk to Chris. I think this was a good job by AJ, though. I know Jake doesn't bring much to be desired at the bat rack, but you want to make sure to give Paddock a calming influence and behind the play. This is a shot and a double play. That's unfortunate for Yaz. He had a bullet right to Spencer Torkelson. He caught that, snow cloned it into his glove, steps on first, and Isbell's a dead duck at second. That's just unfortunate. We'll go bottom 3.
Yeah, that's about. I am feeling this is going to be the Royals on the homestand, they were really good when they came up. Sometimes they start out slow, but they had those fast starts that could help make up for it. I'll tell you this right now, they don't score anything in the 4th. That's when things are going to be a bit tough. That's when trouble's going to start.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's a matter of time. I still think Michael Wacha, at least from what I've seen from him, and you know it better than I do. If Paddock can keep this ball down and get plays behind his defense, that's what he needed going in. You and I know that. I think Wacha could at least make this 6 scoreless, and then we'll see what happens with the bullpen side. Now, for Kyle Finnegan and Will Vest, Montero, Finnegan especially, it's been much better for the Tigers bullpen lately. But if we get ourselves a low-scoring ball game, I could see it maybe through 6, but I'd be surprised after that because especially for Paddock, I don't know how long he's going to continue to get this defensive play behind him, but we should be getting runs today. That's what I said in my open. I'd be surprised. This is the one game, at least for me, and I penciled in as a Royals win. So if they don't win this one, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But Jack Flaherty won 7 scoreless last time against Houston. He looked good. Scott Harris, president of operations, now in the broadcast booth with Jason Benetti. Again, a lot of Tigers don't want to hear about all of that, considering what did or didn't happen at the deadline. But when you look at it in a vacuum here between Montero, Finnegan, Charlie Morton, some of the other stuff hadn't worked out, but they're all pitchers, and most of it did. They didn't really have to give up much. So, even though I said they went bargain bin shopping, which they did, AJ Hinch has been able to kind of mold that clay and figure out what they want. Now, Zach McKinstry, this is where Wacha has to be careful because he was ridiculous. He takes a fastball, dead center, caught it 2-1. 265 for McKinstry. Honestly, he's kind of the Mr. Everything for Detroit, a team that has really no stolen bases to speak of. Again, Winsell Perez was 7 as his second most. McKinstry's got 19. So he's the only other guy on this team that's any sort of threat to run the base paths as he follows a curveball back at 2-2. And now 93 will challenge him straight back on sinker. So a triple, a home run, and a single. Just a double short of the cycle yesterday. And we'll see what Zach can do to leverage it Saturday. Here's a cutter up top, make it a full count. Javier Baez will be next. Again, he's usually in the 9 spot, but Jake Rogers is going to pencil a line today. He's going to take that as the catching duties. Pitch clock down to 2. This is right back at Wacha, puts the big glove in the air off the comebacker. Toss over to the pizza man, 1 up, 1 down. So Javi Baez in game 108, again, 92 strikeouts. It seems like a lot, but not a lot for Javi as comparison to this season. I do remember, and you have to take this back about a month and a half, 2 months ago, where he was hitting over 300. He's still at 267. 11 home runs and 51 RBI is one of the better seasons he's had in over the last, let's be fair, 3.5 or more. It's been the resurgence of Javi Baez. And again, my favorite memory of the season was the 2 bombs against the Red Sox, including the walk-off winner and extras. So whatever they can get for what's left of his contract, got to remember once he's done, the Tigers still maybe in the middle, lower tier of payroll. Javi's essentially all their money. Out of the 30 teams, Tigers would probably be 27th in payroll once Javi's contract's done, which is pretty soon. So 2-1 as a fastball misses up top. And then also will give you that money to be able to put towards Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green. Here's a fastball, be a golf shot toward right field past Vinnie. And Javi Baez has to settle for a long single as they get it in quickly to Bobby Witt. Jake Rogers hasn't played a ton. A few years ago, he was a home run threat. Again, only 38 games played to start going into the day, just 3 home runs at 167 batting average. So you don't expect Jake to do damage there. Just make sure if you're walking, don't throw a fastball down the middle. That's really all you got to make sure you command. Should be able to get out of this again. Be double plays across the board. Jake Rogers, this is fair. Down the third base line. Javi's coming in. Throw to the plate. It's cut off. And Jake is going to just take second and get caught in the rundown. So he gets a single, no more, but an RBI. And as soon as I say something about Jake Rogers, lo and behold, he scores the first run of the ball game. Right in on the chalk.
This is what I was afraid of. The Royals didn't score within the first couple of innings. Look, as good as Watkins is, he's still a veteran pitcher in his early 30s. He's never been a flamethrower and relies a lot on his off-speed stuff. So any kind of power put into a ball, I mean, it's going to go.
That's why I'm glad that I have you in on this broadcast, Ian, as you can serve as the Royals expert. Again, I got the Tigers covered. We can know both our teams well in the AL Central, but I mentioned alongside Jake Rogers, this is a Q shot. Cole Keith will be now 1-2. But you said it as it was, and I'm looking at Jake Rogers and in his average and say, no, that's probably not going to happen. He just muscles a ball on the third base line after Baez essentially got jammed. Tigers are able to get rewarded with an RBI. So Cole Keith now, the second time in through the order, first time we go around, 1-2, and a change up low. Cole Keith, I really like his game. Again, when he started, he was a DH, second baseman, then the third because you got Glaber. Not a defensive stalwart, but he's gotten much better. That's a beautiful pitch, cutter, inside black, see you later. And the Tigers score 1, but that's all they get. It'll be 1-0 after 3. So again, there's not a ton of games here on this Saturday.
No, there isn't. There are a few games. There are games that affect the Royals in the wild card. In their push for the wild card, I should say. This being obviously the one we're covering right now, but also Seattle and the Athletics and Boston and New York, with New York losing the first 3 games.
I thought I heard a stat yesterday as it was on Fox that the Yankees have only beaten the Red Sox once this year. So we'll see how that ends up working out. Again, Ian and I both agree that the Yankees will still make the postseason, but I can't remember, unless you go through the annals of history for like the Jeter teams and all that, that the Yankees team would be doing a ton of damage to the Red Sox, but the Red Sox beating up on the Yankees that badly so far. I mean, 12-1 and a 17-hit attack, that's absolutely brutal.
I mean, I think that the playoff game, Boston and New York, I think it was like 2018.
Yeah. Chris Paddock now. Go ahead.
That was the famous Angel Hernandez game.
Bobby Witt's able to get a soft serve single right in front of Javier Baez. Maybe some 2 or 3 pop outs, and it's not far enough to be a pop out, but that's kind of where they were putting, like dead man's land in center field. Royals have 3 base hits off of that, and they do have Bobby Witt Jr. at first base. And again, Ian doesn't even have to tell me this, but when I look on the side for Bobby Witt, 34 stolen bases, I'm absolutely expecting him to go here. 83 on a changeup, make it 0-1. So Vinnie Pasquantino, he's got 4 straight games with a tank. It'd be a good time for one here for KC. Again, Chris Paddock's been throwing strikes. 94 followed straight back amongst the third base line, and we'll do it again. So now for an 0-2 count, probably take that sign and put it off. And now we'll see if Pasquantino just fights his way through this at bat. Pitch count's been good. The pitching's been good on both sides. It's been a fun game so far as 95 misses up top. And when Maikel Garcia will be due up next, I'll have to ask Ian what you think about Garcia, because if it isn't for Bobby Witt Jr., he probably is the everyday shortstop. He's an absolute dynamo in the infield as well. He's got a ton of stolen bases, and he's hitting over 300. 95 will move Pasquantino away. So busting in with the fastball is Paddock's got to make sure that he doesn't just lay one down here, because this is the big at bat that you got to be careful of as they use the first disengagement. Make sure Bobby Witt doesn't get too big of a lead at first. They're still talking with Scott Harris, so I'm not getting as many camera cuts, but we'll call what we see. Down to 5, a little bit low. Changeup gets away, and that's not what you want there if you're the Tigers. So that's essentially working as a stolen base. Pasquantino with a fly ball can at least get into third and get the Royals closer to the first one of the ball game for themselves. So again, it's over the last 3 pitches here. You can see for Paddock that he's trying to make sure that he stays away from this big at bat. They're going to chase way away or down. Here's the full count with 2 seconds remaining. This Pasquantino is going to score the run as this bounces into the corner. Perfect at bat for Vinnie. And this game is tied. Goes into second. Pasquantino's got a double.
Yeah. I'll give Paddock this. It wasn't, even though it was right down the middle, it wasn't a terrible pitch. The thing is, most hitters are swinging over that. And that's in my personal opinion.
That's a great point, Ian. That tells you why Pasquantino has been so hot. Garcia, that's a nice leverage for McKinstry. Gets a few steps over to the line and able to keep the runner in at second. So Paddock trying to make sure he keeps the score line right where it is. Both teams over the previous half innings have scored their first runs.
Well, even though it's a 1 pitch out, I'll still tell you about this. Yes, you're right. If Witt wasn't there, Garcia would be the shortstop, but it's actually a blessing that we have those two there, not just because of their play. For years after Mike Moustakas, the Royals had a revolving door at third base. There was no established position, and now Garcia looks to be that. And a priority for many Royals fans is that this coming off season, that the Royals ink Vinnie and Garcia, which I don't know how that's going to shake out, but those are our priorities.
And Ian, I know this is the easy thing for me to say. You would absolutely love that, considering because, again, Garcia 25, Pasquantino 27. This is the time to lock those guys in. They could be cornerstones for a while. This gets popped up in the air from Salvador Perez, and I'll leave it up to Adam Frazier. It's not really a good at bat there for Salvi, but we'll see what Frazier can do here. Try to get another run.
Yeah, well, it's like I told you before, John. It's one of the things about Salvi. It's the best and worst thing about him. He'll swing at everything, and when it works, it's spectacular. But when it doesn't work, it's an annoyance.
Yeah, I can see that again. The Royals fans, and you know this with the back-to-back World Series and getting one, Salvador Perez is going to be forever a hero, but that's also part of it too. You still got to win ball games in the here and now, and it's 2025, so you want to make sure you lock in and get those at-bats. Frazier, this is grounded out. Torkelson, step on the bag. 1 run, no more. That's the damage. It's a 1-1 game as we go to the bottom of the fourth.
Is committed to giving you the best experience you've ever had with a home improvement company. Go to mymichiganroof.com today to get a quote you can count on.
I'm going to look really quick on the weather app just to see what might be coming at Comerica Park. And it's still only about 10 to 15% through 9 o'clock. So if we can get to 8:30 before we start to see any rain, I think we could probably make sure we get through the entirety of this ball game and not have to worry about any of that at all today. So that's your weather outlook for the last next hour and 40 minutes. There might be something, but it's small pop up if that. So we should be able to get this whole ball game in. My plan next Saturday is to be back here. I think it'll be a 7:15 game, not 6:15 at the K next time around. Pull this up from FanDuel Sports Detroit. Best record since August 1st. The Royals are 12-8. Tigers are 13-7. So again, these two teams playing some good baseball. As Gleyber Torres, part of the 2-3-4 in this fourth, as the cutter misses up top. 86. This is shallow toward right field. It's going to fall right in front of Frazier. And Gleyber Torres gets on base with a single. Now, before the ball game, you usually get your pregame and everything else too. So Dan Dickerson, who's the radio play-by-play man with Jason May on the TV side, they usually have the Seat podcast. I did watch part of the episode for Gleyber Torres before we got ready for this game. He was over, and I'm not going to say carousel. I forget exactly where it was for Gleyber, but he was in baseball schools essentially since he was 13 years old. Again, not for anything for the education purposes, just to play baseball. And his parents were able to commiserate and make sure that he could get over there. Even so, I said like 13 year in middle school, things like that. He's playing baseball. He gets signed by the Cubs by the time he's 16, stays there for a little bit, gets traded to the Yankees, and now a member of the Tigers, able to learn English, do interviews in English, do everything else that he needs to do, learn finances, all of that. But he was being prepped to be an adult since, from 13 all the way to age 16. So kind of crazy that the way that that works. And then now he's used his 1 year leverage in Detroit. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to cash in big time in the offseason. And what I'm saying to you, regardless of what Chris Ilitch may or may not do with Scott Harris, Glaber does not have to sign with Detroit if he does not want to. He could go ahead and get a big time payment with anyone else, and they'd be happy to take him. So it'll be something to watch. 2-1 is the count against Kerry Carpenter, but that would be a big hole in the lineup that Detroit would have to replace. Yes, they do have one of the best prospect pools in baseball, but it does take them time. This is right from Kerry Carpenter, Jonathan India first, and Pasquantino. That's a great play. And the double play erases Gleyber Torres' single as Kerry Carpenter grounds out into a DP.
That is a strength of Walker. He doesn't throw heat, but being a veteran pitcher, he's still really good at pitch efficiency. Not throwing too many pitches in one inning, and he can induce the ground ball.
Ian, I know we're more baseball aficionados, so I think that we can appreciate this. But honestly, it's fun to watch guys throw 103 and hit tanks and see guys like Shohei and this and that. Honestly, this is the type of pitching matchup. I know it's our two teams, but this is the type of pitching matchup I like to watch. Guys throw strikes, and they like to see what they're going to do. Driving into the wall. Torkelson! It's gone! Solo shot. Tigers take the lead.
Sometimes he'll throw one right down the. Yeah, he does that sometimes.
Yeah, we talk about both of these guys throwing strikes and getting their defense involved and make a mistake there. Paddock's made some mistakes in this game. Torque, that's 88. Hit me all over it with a sign on it. And Torque did exactly what he had to do. That's what major league hitters have to do. You got to take advantage of those. That's 88 down the middle. So double play, home run, and the Tigers have the lead once more. We'll see if we're going to get fence post scoring. There's one or two every inning. If the Royals come back into this, there's going to be a lot more runs to be had. Riley Green also another threat. 77. That's a good changeup up toward the black. Make it 1-1. And more that I watch, since Ian's been thankfully joining me on these casts, as 91 will be lazy toward left field, and that'll be caught. Wind probably pushed that a little bit, no problem. Tigers get one on the home run from Torque. But what I was going to say is the more and more games that we cover together, and you said it between the draft class and profile, that between Mize, Torque, and Green, the more and more I believe you across the board. If the Tigers got fortunate, we will go to the fifth. It's a 2-1 lead for Detroit.
Yeah, seeing what Mize had been dishing lately, I just those were the last picks made by the Beaver, right before the game change.
Yep.
Look, it took Torque a while, but I think he's finally coming to his own. Riley Green was spectacular from the beginning, despite the strikeout issues.
Sure.
And Mize, Mize is good. I mean, look, it's either that. I don't really know how to gauge it all well, because for a while, I mean, as bad can kind of look at it from a Royals fan perspective, okay? Dayton Moore, near the end of his tenure, overall was not good. He wasn't. But he did draft. He drafted Bobby. He drafted Vinnie, Nick Lofton, Kyle Isbell, and Bubic, Singer, among others.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Singer's not on the team anymore, but he was still a very productive pitcher.
Let me ask you this from an outside perspective, Ian, but if you can entertain me, I would appreciate it. For Torque, again in 2020, the number 1 pick, I know that there's a lot of intrigue anytime you get those. Oh, you need to be Bryce Harper, you need to be Mike Trout, but in reality, Ian, it takes time for these guys to develop, correct?
Look, what people don't understand that the thing about baseball that people tend actually the closest one to how baseball is hockey. But even that can be but even hockey can be more like football and basketball where the number 1 pick is slotted in immediately. Now that's changed in football over in the last few years, unless you know that guy is ready. But think about it. NBA, you're the number 1 overall pick. You're in there from day 1.
Right.
Because you are the best in that class. Hockey. Yes, sometimes the pick is kept in the minors for maybe half a season, rarely a full season. But then you guys got guys like Patrick Kane, Connor Bedard, Connor McDavid. They're on the ice from day 1. Baseball, you can't do that because some of these cats are coming in from high school.
Right.
And even if they did play college ball, major league pitchers or major league baseball players are not college level. They're better because they have to be.
You're absolutely right. You look at it in the grand scheme of things too. You got low A, high A, double A, triple A, all different levels, and you got to be able to learn how to hit fastballs, off speed. You got to figure out how to direct yourself to deal with the day-to-day. That day-to-day grind of the 162 that you have is unlike anything else in all the sports. India will deke the throw from Riley Green that was thrown up, and now, wow, that was saved by Torque. And if anyone was able to back that up from Jonathan India, he could have been hosed at first.
Yeah. Here's a good example of what happens if you just rush. Now, there are guys that get drafted number 1 overall in baseball that you just know. That you know they got the stuff and they prove it within their first few games in the minors. Great example, and most recent, Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
You know. You watch the stuff, he gets up to the majors, oh my God, he's excellent. And then you have the David Clottons. Now, for anyone not familiar with that name, he was a number 1 overall pick as a starting pitcher for the Rangers, and this was years ago. I think this may still have been when they were the Senators, or in their very early years as the Rangers. They drafted him at 18 years old, brought him up to the majors, and he killed his career. There was no development, nothing.
Yeah, you can't have that go that way, Ian, as you mentioned, and it goes both ways for all these prospects. I mean, he had a decent, how do I say this? He had a longer career than I thought, but Joey Gallo was one way and one way only correct for the Texas Rangers. He could hit the ball past light poles, but he's going to strike out 200-something times and not hit for average.
Well, see, the thing about Joey Gallo, in my view, was when he was at his best, he was always accompanied by not always, but he was usually accompanied by a hitting core that could no one get on base, but there was protection around him.
Yes, beautifully said.
Who could get on base, and that's the thing. That's actually the thing. We brought him up to. The reason the Royals brought Jack Caglione up to the majors was because he was smashing balls over 450 feet in the minors. As amazing as that looks, keeping a player in the minors who's doing that is the worst thing you can do because they get it in their head that, they can do this here, they can do this in the majors. No, he learned very quickly that major league pitching would eat him alive. And that's why, as soon as he's able to come back off his rehab starts, they're going to be bringing him up immediately because they want to expose him to more major league pitching. Because that's how he's going to get better. Either that or it's going to show that the Royals made a terrible mistake, but I don't think that's the case with Jack.
No, I think they're going to figure that out, as you said. Paddock able to get the strikeout of Isbell in between our talking points, which was very good there, and I appreciate that. There was a long meeting on the mound to make sure that Paddock and everything else, I believe, was okay. Chris Fetter went out there. So we're still back in business here with 2 outs in top 5. Tigers up 2-1. Torque just hit a tank before in the previous half. And now Mike Yastrzemski with a runner on first as Jonathan India still kind of stuck at first base. This one we followed straight back, make it 0-2. But it's been a good ball game so far. Glad to have Ian here with me on this. And again, we had a good conversation between what the Royals might do, some of the latest picks that the Tigers had before Al Avila was moved for Scott Harris, and the future of these two teams. I mean, you're looking at KC and Detroit in the AL Central. Honestly, I think that they're going to be the class of the AL Central. I'm not saying the Guardians still can't do things when you got guys like Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez, but honestly, if you ask me today and put a fork to my nose who the 2 best teams will be in the AL Central going forth right for the next 6 to 8 years, I'm saying Detroit and Kansas City.
I do appreciate that because it has been a long time since Kansas City could be regarded as a serious threat for contention.
I like what you have in the system for you. See, I want to see Jack Caglione. I haven't got a chance to actually watch him as this gets away from Rogers. Don't know if that moved up India. I didn't see that on the scorecard on. He's still there. But yeah, it's there. And then for the Tigers in their farm system, they supposedly have the best in baseball. Waiting for Jackson Jobe, another flamethrower coming back next year. Let's see what happens when the Baez deal is done. Will the Tigers actually spend money? How much money will Torque and Green get? I think they'll get a pay raise, but it's not going to be anything that has to break the bank. I think the Tigers are in a good spot. And what I want to see, because even though the Royals made back-to-back and won one, I kind of want to see the Tigers selfishly win a World Series in my own timeline, because the last time was 84. I was born in 87. I've seen a lot of bad baseball in Detroit, just like I saw a lot of bad football for the Lions. I know recently for the Wings. But that's snow cone by Torque, and that ends the inning. That was hit very hard from Yastrzemski, but the Royals go quietly.
If I had to pick the most, in recent memory, in just a recent stretch of the most unlucky player on the Royals, it has to be Mike Yastrzemski.
He's hitting the ball hard.
He hits the ball hard, and I don't know if this is a skill you can do, or if it's just bad freaking luck. But there just seem to be guys that hit the ball hard, but they hit it right where the fielder is. You see it and you're like, really?
That's the thing. if you're a baseball player, we talk about getting better at every level. We talk about prospects coming up in the organization, all that too. For Yaz and all these other baseball players, you're reminded it's 162 games. You're reminded that Major League Baseball and baseball in general is a game of failure. If you hit the ball hard and don't get a result, the only thing you can try to do next time is try to keep that same approach and same mindset. I know the cliche sayings of not getting too high or too low is always used in sports, but really in baseball, you've got to believe that. That's the way it works.
Oh, good example. A prospect that the Orioles just called up. I forget his first name, but his last name is Basayo.
Yeah, was it Samuel Basayo just got an 8-year extension?
Yeah, for barely a month, maybe not even a month of being in the majors. I'm not quite sure when he was called up. I'll look that up while you talk about that.
Think about what Colby Mayo, Heston Kjerstad, now Basayo. I mean, there's still. I know it's been a rough year for Baltimore, but you could think about them having a rough year, probably getting a good pick out of it, and then coming back into next year and figuring it out. Although for the management situation, did Brandon Hyde get fired, or is he still there?
Oh no, he got fired
A long time ago, right?
He got fired a long time ago. Although personally, I don't. Now, he was not doing what they needed him to do.
Sure.
But truthfully, I don't think it's quite clear that not all the problems simply stemmed from him, because the Orioles, all they may have improved, they did not go back to what they were.
No, they did not. They had a lot of pitching injuries and things like that. Some of the stuff that they did at the deadline were kind of half measures last year with Zach Eflin and things like that. It just didn't work. And now it's kind of bled into this year as well. And Ian, that's well said. Is it's 6, 7, and 8 Dingler, McKinstry, and Baez in a 2-1 ball game. Spencer Torkelson made a great play against Yastrzemski. He hit the ball very hard. Michael Wacha's still out there. His pitch count economically solid, as we would expect between both of these guys. Not hit around that particularly hard. It was just the one mistake pitch for Wacha. Jake Rogers honestly fortunate to take that one down the third base line, and now Wacha gets a swing and a miss against Dingler here on a cutter. Challenged him. He was not ready for it. And Zach McKinstry now will be next. Again, the shortstop. He's a little versatile. He can play in the outfield as well, some third base, shortstop, whatever he needs. That's what AJ can do. Again, now for AJ Hinch, when he was building everything across with the Astros with Correa, Altuve, and Bregman, I don't want to say that you have the same type of team from Houston and Detroit from those beginning leverages, but when you really think about it, between Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green and maybe some of these other guys that kind of play multiple positions and just fit where they need to, kind of put those puzzle pieces connect for, it kind of feels that way. And we'll see if Detroit can continue to build on it, as 79 on a changeup was a butterfly one, almost a little ephus. This is down low 1 and 2.
So I just looked it up. Basayo was called up around August 16th or 17th. He won't even exceed the 45-day service time that he'd be, so he would still technically be rookie eligible next season. And he just got inked 8 years, $67 million, which, to me, if I had to take a stance on it, I think Rutschman is going to get shopped this offseason.
I think you're exactly right when you're making a move like that. I mean, Rutschman's a good player. He's had a rough year, but you don't want to. That kind of counterbalances where you don't have to pay Adley and you can move on from him.
Yeah.
I look at it from the hockey perspective. Who just signed a big deal? The former U of M man, Frank Nazar, got paid in alongside the Blackhawks. And you say, geez, how do you pay a guy that only had about 30 points this much money when he's getting about 7.5 or something like that. They're going to pay him for what he's going to do in the future. And the same thing for Basayo. They're high on him for a reason. You don't just hand those contracts out. And the way that that'll work across his service time, I would expect for Basayo that those numbers are going to be way better than what he actually makes, and the Orioles will be happy with it. Baez had a single last time up. McKinstry at first with a single that he just hit against Waka down the first base line. 2-1 against Hobby. Now, if Waka has got any sliders that he can throw down and away, that's what easily gets Javier Baez. He's been getting back to some of his old self when it's about 10, 12 feet away, down and low. So we'll see what they can try to do. 2-2 against Hobby. If you get the wrinkle that stays in the zone, I think that's where you get hurt. Hobby's still able to carry some of that. 2-2 is the count. Jake Rogers is going to be next, unless there's another double play. There's been a lot of that turn. Defense has been sparkling between both of these today. Quick toss over, and Pasquantino can't get the tag down as it was just a tenuous lead there for Zach. But again, with the 19 stolen bases, he's been caught 3 times against 17-17 last year, but he's the only other guy you really got to watch out for. 94. Good pitch. Baez able to get a good swing on a 94, but the upper reaches of what Waka can throw, and we'll keep it going. 10 of 34, a home run and 10 strikeouts against Waka. Not too bad numbers. 2-2 again. 85. Must be toward right field. That's where Grichuk is. That'll send McKinstry back.
Quick correction, John. Grichuk is in left field. Right field is actually Frazier.
Oh, thank you for that. I apologize. Yep, Adam Frazier in right, Grichuk in left. I had that in my notes. That was my bad. Appreciate you, Ian. Jake Rogers. Now about 9th. I was going to make a comment. I can't make it now because I just made a mistake. I was going to say, you don't want to follow, at least it wasn't as bad as what Alex Faust did in the game against the Milwaukee Brewers where he called the wrong guy hitting the home run. And then they cut in front of an interview and actually didn't call it until 35 seconds later. But that's Apple TV for you. As it's 0-2 top of zone slider. That's a pretty good pitch there. Jake's got to wonder, though, hey, I'm a catcher, too. I want to try to get those calls, but I like that for Waka, able to throw any pitch to any count. 0-2 with that slider up top, and we'll see what we get after it. Kinstry still at first. This is a good block for Salvi. So with the extension of Freddie Fermin now to go to San Diego, which we saw that in the last part of our broadcast when I covered against the Dodgers, that essentially means that Salvador Perez is going to catch for the rest of the season all the way through the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Freddie Fermin he was not going to be the future of catching in Kansas City. He's 30 years old or close to 30 years old, if
right.
Not 30 years old, and he just with guys like Carter Jensen and Blake Mitchell on the way, Freddie was a great backup catcher, and still is. But the Royals, they just have young guys coming up in the system.
We're going to give you a scoring update as soon as this bottom 5 is done. One of these, I am surprised, although the Blue Jays did just take the lead back, as it is a 3-2 count against Jake. This hit hard again. Jake Rogers having himself a day. McKinstry can really run. Are they going to send him now? Here's the throw of the plate cut off and way wild. Jake Rogers has 2 bases. Did not have that on my bingo card today. Jake Rogers 2 for 2. Here's Randall Grichuk at left, and that will be the out. But Jake Rogers again scores another run for Detroit. 3 runs on 7 hits. That will end the 5th.
So another run for the Tigers. This is not ideal for the Royals right now because because the offense has only been able to push through once.
Is there any concern though? I know you just talked about the Royals would not be able to push through. Let me push back a little bit more. Tigers only be able to get 1 run though in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Couple hits here from the good part of the order between Cal Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez. This could be a different ball game.
I hope so, but I just, despite the great homestand, this offense all throughout this season has been cold. I mean, they don't score a lot of runs. Most of their wins up to this point were because the pitching because the offense did just enough to get a lead, and the pitching is excellent. It's only been recently that they've been able to get the bats hot.
Do you think that there's any portion of you, let's say that the Royals go out and get a really big bat in the offseason, you and I are going to have to do some homework and see what some of those big bats will be. But if they get someone gigantic in the middle of their order, let's say they can get you 100 RBI, and the Royals do not have a good season, would you worry about Coach Q and his job?
A lot of people.
Bobby Witt Jr., see you later. Right off Melton, on cue.
Yep. Okay, that's a good start. That's a very good start. Actually, look, I like you, but there are some criticisms that I think are founded. Number one, he's very low key, a lot more low key than I think some managers are, which means there's a narrative that he doesn't really stick up for his guys as much as he should, which you can kind of take it or leave it. There's a little bit of data to go up to go with that, but not much. Now I will say some of his decision making in regards to the bullpen, like the last couple times we've been on here, it's been a suspect at best, and I don't think he's the best at doing that. When when times are tough. But he's not going to lose his job. If things don't go well, very likely he's not going to lose his job because the Royals don't, until they are at their breaking point or until it comes out that they're using outdated tactics in their minor leagues, which is what got Dayton Moore fired when it came out from a former minor leaguer, the Royals, that they weren't using computers as such to improve pitching analytics. That's when Moore got fired.
I got you. So, I mean, again, we're both in the considerations of our team to where they're still building, getting to their final product. As Garcia, this one McKinstry, good split across first base from Torque, and now that's 2 away. Again, that was a pretty good catch before that, as we were talking for Kerry Carpenter, sliding across the one knee, making a catch on the previous. But Bobby Witt Jr. attacked the first pitch for Troy Melton. I was going to say, for me, this is my first look at Troy. He is supposed to be one of those guys in the Tigers that's going to be a future starter, but he's got an electric arm. You think like Job, fastball that can probably top in around 98. That was a good pitch that Bobby Witt took the other way to left field and just got it out of Comerica Park to make it a 3-2 game. As we were talking, I didn't have it on the recorder there, but it was on the space in between Detroit and KC if there was any sort of concern that, some of the fence posts scoring for Detroit, only just 1 run. Can KC come back with the better part of their order? Bobby Witt Jr. gets them a run closer as it's 2-0 against Salvi. It's another one of those that you got to be careful here with Salvi because he's still got plenty of tanks in the season. Pull back up into the notes. He's got 22. Big swing and a miss on a cutter, making 91. Got to see a little bit more of that. But I think Troy probably, as he's still learning the pitch, thinking he's going to be careful of the more dangerous parts of the order. Another one on a slider, not close, 2-2, but Salvi swings through it anyway. So Chris Paddock goes 5-5, 1 earned run and a strikeout. And this is a slider spiked in the dirt, apparently. I thought that was a curve, but I'm thankful for the pitch calls on the FanDuel Sports Detroit. As now it's a full count. Again, Adam Frazier, not a threat whatsoever to really take you deep, so I wouldn't even be concerned about a walk. This one fought off Melton. Salvi doesn't run well, so easy toss over there to first, but Bobby Witt Jr. gets them closer on a solo shot. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for Casey, 3-7-0 for Detroit. We'll go to the bottom 6. It'll be Torres, Carp, and Torque due up next in the bottom 6 as this game continues to roll by. Again, as I said a little bit earlier in the weather report, we're about another hour or so away from any possible rains. We should be able to get this going quickly. Scoring update, I was going to throw across. The Fish have tied it again. They had forced extra innings against Toronto, and now they're going to the 12th. It's a 6-6 ball game. That's big implications for Detroit as far as having the top seed still in the American League should they win this ball game. Again, they still will, even with the loss, but you want to try to get as much pressure away from the Blue Jays as you can so you don't have to play in a wild card series if possible. Nats did beat the Phillies yesterday, but now the Phillies up 5-1 at Citizens Bank Park. Astros up 5-1 on the Orioles. That's in the bottom of the first. Guardians, Rangers scoreless.
The Orioles are going to get 2 more runs because Colton Cowser just hit a 2 RBI single.
That is a very live update, Ian. Thank you. That hadn't even updated on my ESPN side yet. But Colton Cowser with a couple of runs make it 5-3. Mets and Braves scoreless in the first. Giants and Brewers, they are scoreless top 2. Again, you get the rematch of the Dodgers and Padres. That'll be on FS1. I'll probably watch that a little bit later. Cubs, Angels, Athletics, Mariners at 9:40. That's the latest game that we have. So nothing that goes in the 10 o'clock Eastern side, but we'll keep a monitor on the Blue Jays, Marlins, and the 12th still tied at 6. Waka back out there. Now, Ian, he's in his 80th pitch of the day. He's through 5 innings. What's his pitch count probably look like? This is his last inning?
Oh, yeah. This is his last inning. And what really needs to happen is he needs to get this first out to even truly have a shot. Because, again, with him being an older arm and not a power thrower, guy, the good flamethrowers can kind of get away and muscle the ball past someone. They like Paul Skeens or Hunter Green once in a while can just hurl 100 passes that they need. Like that final strike. Waka, no. So if he doesn't get out early, they'll call him and send in the bullpen arms.
I'm going to tell you this right now as we were talking. There's a horrible call behind the plate for Adam Beck. That was a strikeout against Gleyber Torres, and it turned into a free pass. I mean, that ball was in there toward the knees, at least a couple inches into the strike zone, not even close to a ball. But Gleyber Torres now will reach first.
Yeah, I don't look talking about the umps. Well, it can be credible. I don't like to do it a lot because it gets bush league after a while. But come on.
Kerry Carpenter gives it a ride to the wall, but this one caught in center field by Isbell. But take it away.
Yeah, it just when you're missing pitches that hard. Look, I can give leeway if it's on the corner. It's like
sure.
It's borderline. This is in the zone.
That's where I have the same problems there, and I agree with you exactly in your sentiments that you said, because I don't really like to call out umpires. Hell, I don't call out players. Anytime I cover anything, whether it's the Sharks or any of the Major League stuff here, I leave all that alone because I could never do what they could do. But when it's your job to call balls and strikes and it's in the zone by a reasonable amount and it's not on the corner, you can't miss those, especially in leverage counts. But we'll see what happens. It's just a walk, but Gleyber at first. Otherwise, there should be 2 outs. Torque will give a chance at least for Green, unless there's another double play. There's been, I believe, 3 of those. If I tracked on my notes, maybe 4, because it's a 2-0 count against Torque. 93. That was awfully close, but called correctly 3-0. And now Spencer Torkelson. We'll see if he wants to take a swing here, whether or not AJ will signal him to. He's got a home run in this game in the 4th. 27 home runs in the season. 87 could have taken a good swing at that cutter, did not. Make it 3-1. Try to get Waka the missed one out of the strike zone, who does not normally do that very often. As Ian said, but for a pitch 90, and this will be his last inning of work from everything that I'm seeing. 3-1. 92, followed straight back, good big pass for Spencer. This one was just a mistake earlier in the 3rd. That was an 88 cutter that was middle. I don't think we're going to be seeing that again. But for Jake Rogers, I'm not going to throw anything against him. He's got a 167 average coming in. He's already got 2 hits. Full count. There's only 1 out, so I don't know if Gleyber's going to be on the move. Again, the Tigers are 29th out of 30th in stolen bases. We get to leverage that from the Astros and Spencer Arrighetti. 86, line drive over the head of Garcia. Went with that pitch away. That was just an excellent swing from Spencer Torkelson more than anything else, because that was way off the plate. He still got a single out of it. Looks like a cutter off the edge of the plate toward the left side of that box, and he was able to stay through it with the hands and keep that fair somehow over the jumping Maikel Garcia. This would be the time where the Tigers need to add on some runs. I know we can say the same thing about KC throughout. The fence post scoring has been real. Just one run at most in any inning. But if you can add on a couple here with the way that the Tigers bullpen has been lately, you think you can find a way to piecemeal a victory. That's not something I would have said prior to the All-Star break and all that going into it, because the Tigers have lost 12 of 13. They had some bullpen struggles. But between Kyle Finnegan now and Will Vest, they have been absolutely terrific. So if you get to that 8th and 9th, maybe with a 2 or 3 run lead, you think you should be able to hold it. 1 is never safe, so I'm not going to say that. Is Taylor Clark now starting to warm the righty for KC? Riley Green. Big swing and a miss. He got a piece of it, actually, as that one went back and amongst the scrim, little foul tip. 30-plus home runs in the first 126 games of the last 25 years. J.D. Martinez and Miguel Cabrera 3 times from 2010 and 2013. So Riley Green in elite company. Riley, this is a diving play for Isbell. Makes the catch. This should be a double off against the Tigers, correct? I think that should end the inning.
I don't know, John. I think they're going to say that I think they're going to say that he missed it.
There's no way. That's a catch. We'll see what they want to rule. I think the Tigers got, I don't know if they got doubled off, but it looks like Kyle Isbell absolutely robs Riley Green in center field, and they're going to talk about it. We're at least going to get 1 out of this.
Yeah, which is fine, because, that's, but with that, yeah, I think they're calling it that Isbell might have trapped it, but it confused Torres enough to make him hesitate and go back to second, and so they were able to double him off.
We're going to see what we get. That's initially what I thought, Ian, is that Torres was getting doubled off and it was a catch by Isbell. Coach Q, absolutely, again, he's not demonstrative at all, as Ian said, and he's going to go out there and argue as he should. Both teams are going to take a look at this, but I don't see any way that Kyle Isbell shouldn't be credited with a fantastic catch that he made in center field, because that was hit very hard by Riley Green. He gets a good route immediately and dives toward left center field. That was pretty spectacular. Now, my only question here is for Gleyber Torres. Tries to get a chance to tag back up? Would he have been out, or did he tag? That's the other question there for the Tigers to possibly be a double play. That is not clear. I think the one thing that is clear is at least the Royals would get 1 out. So Kansas City keeps their challenge, and the short answer is Isbell makes the catch. There's 1 out. So that's what we still got. Runners at first and second. I think that's the right call. But I will say for Gleyber Torres, he's pretty fortunate because he was really anticipating alongside Joey Cora at third base, the third base coach, to score off of a double. But honestly, I can't even say that I blame Gleyber Torres. Kyle Isbell just made a hell of a play.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to Dylan Dingler. Michael Wacha's defense was sparkling behind him. Dingler, big swing on a cutter, 91, a little bit above. Again, it was in the zone, but it was high enough to induce a late swing, make it 0-1. Wacha 6 pitches away from the century mark. That's a gorgeous slider. Still got a lot of break on his off-speed stuff. I know he's given up 3 runs. Michael Wacha's pitched pretty well today. Chris Paddock Got a lot of help behind him as well. But 2 starters, I think, that can be happy with their outing. It's just whether or not their offenses can pick them up enough. See 0-2 against Dingler. Let's see if he's due. Pitch timer down to 5. He lets it go. 95 miles an hour up top outside. Gets Perez out of the crouch. Texas has now a 2-0 lead against the Guardians. We just got that update from FanDuel. Thank you to Jason Minetti. 1-2. Dingler toward first base line is foul. We'll keep it going. There's 2 outs, bottom 6. Tigers up by 1. This has been a well-played ball game. The Philadelphia Phillies now have a 6-1 lead. The Fish are down 7-6 now, as there's been single run scoring in those extras, bottom 12. Dingler inside out's a changeup. And Dylan will keep it going.
Walker right now is in a position where he needs his best pitch, and he needs it right now.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said that any better, Ian. Cutter, slider, fastball, sinker. He's mixed the kitchen sink for Dylan. See what the Ohio State Buckeye can do. 92 on a cutter. Make it dose and dose. John here with you, watching along at Comerica Park with Ian Genge. It's a 3-2 lead for the Tigers, bottom 6, playing against the KC Royals. 86 on a slider, sent straight back again. This is a battle right now. Waka has hit the century mark, so we know that he's officially done after this. Maybe this batter at least. 2-2 for the 4th time. Stays alive again on a curve. This is why you love watching baseball at times. Waka, 25 pitches in the 5th, 23 in the 6th. Here's the 5th, 2-2. Tigers have runners at first and second. Same thing down the third baseline on a cutter. Let's do it again. They're saying that check engine light right now is on for Maikel Waka. I don't blame him. It's just a big leverage. 103 pitches right now through 5 2/3. 75 straight back. This will be pitch number 11 in the sequence. Was slider, curve, cut, 4-seam. He's thrown everything the second time around. This will be pitch number 11. Are we going to get a ball? Or are we going to get something down the middle? What are we going to get? 79 toward the hands. Well, foul. We will see a 12th pitch. This has been fun.
Straight gladiators. I'm seeing it right here.
This is what you love if you're any sort of baseball fan. I don't care what team it is. These are the things that you get up for. And another one down the first base line up a cutter. It's been everything in Waka's arsenal. Every spot he could throw it. And Dylan Dingler is fighting back with every pitch. See if he can put one in play. Again, not a lot of speed at first and second. Pitch timer down to 4, and we'll use the first disengagement. Honestly, I don't blame Maikel there. Probably needs a breath. He's still got one more if he chooses in this particular at-bat. It's a beautiful day here at Comerica Park. Upstairs on a slider, make it 3-2. I believe this will be the 14th pitch of the sequence. Yes, it is. Last 4-seam, changeup, cutter, slider, all different variations from 95 to 79 to 86. Full count. 82, left field. It is foul. My goodness.
And he continues. Oh my God! Whatever happens, John, this is a battle. This is one of the battles of our time.
I'm glad that we were on this call together. This is a fun one here. That's about what, 6 feet probably from the foul pole, maybe less. You can cut that in half, maybe 3. Full count. Do it again. Pitch 15.
Oh, Dingler got screwed.
It's strike 3 called. Are you kidding?
He got screwed. He got so screwed. I'm so sorry, Dylan. Look, I'm a Royals fan. This benefits me, but I'm calling bullshit. That is bullshit.
Wow. Pitch number 15, not close on a changeup. That's an epic battle. Waka wins it.
A 15-pitch battle and it ends like that? Really? Listen, I'm the beneficiary of this situation. What?
That was still a lot of fun. It's the 3-2 lead for the Tigers. We'll go 7. We'll come right back.
I did that. That's like, I think that's like 1 or 2 feet up the lead. That's not even close. What?
That was the second one of the day. I guess the one that was called against the Royals earlier that we said that shouldn't have been a Gleyber Torres walk. That was the makeup there. So I guess we're even. But you're right. I feel bad for Dylan in that case because that was a heck of a battle against Waka. I mean, that was storybook. And did not get rewarded after going 15 pitches. Oh, that's gotta hurt. I know the Tigers are now talking about the challenge. They can say whatever they want. I'm not going to get into that. But I did want to mention it was the longest at-bat for the Tigers in 8 years. Dylan Dingler, the last to get that far was JD Martinez. So now Adam Frazier will be part of 6, 7, and 8 as we head into the 7th. Again, we've been treated to a couple of good ball games over the last couple. Last one a few days ago was the Brewers and Cubs. As that one ended up being a 3-2 series. Cubs able to win 3 of the 5 games. We'll continue to watch that stuff in the NL Central. 96 missed the plate by a fair amount for Troy Melton. It's 2-2. Probably Melton's last inning before you go to Finnegan and Vest. 86 on a slider, bunched out Frazier, punches him out. And again, for Troy Melton, I just want to see the young man continue to throw because, again, it's my first full look at him covering an actual ball game with the Tigers. It's been a while since I covered the hometown team. Admittedly, I try to go more across the landscape than cover my own teams. We'll have to see how October and everything works with the Red Wings because I don't know if I'm going to have access to local games from where I will be. But if not, I could always probably go back at parents' house and try to cover some of that stuff as long as I can get a TV and a computer set up. I might have to ask my cousin to get something cheap so I can get some of the streaming stuff back up. But if not, we will have ESPN Plus to cross over there, which I got, and then we'll just cover the rest of the stuff. It'd just be a shame I can't cover Red Wings, but it is what it is. 0-2. By the time we get to the postseason, it won't matter, though. Everything will be available for the Tigers. As 98 followed straight back. Another good pitch from the inside black against Jonathan India. Again, that one at 98. So besides that first pitch, Bobby Witt, as soon as Melton came out there and took him deep, just barely over the left field wall, he's been able to pinpoint and throw a few different pitches. So I like what I've seen from his arsenal. 88 on the splitter. Was right in on the bottom portion of the black at the knees, making 0-2. We'll do it again.
I still can't get over that last strike. Look, Tigers fans who are listening to this, I'm a Royals fan, but even I'm calling BS on that.
Yeah, when I hear you say that so openly, and I know no discourse from everyone else, obviously we're really good friends, but when you get a chance to hear that, I agree with you completely, because if the shoe was on the other for me, I would call it the same way. You don't want to see a batter who's working that well to fight through 15 pitches. The pitch misses by, 3 feet or so like that, or a few inches or so off the plate, and they punch out. That's just not what you want.
No, and that's just, oh my Lord. Because I know that on the other side of that, I would be the type of language that I would be. You would have to turn off the recorder, and we may have to think about deleting this space.
I don't want to. I was gonna say I wasn't gonna go there, but I'll say it the way that I'm thinking of it. That you all say the type of language that Jaron Duran got suspended for. Full count. That's a great at bat for Jonathan India. Fought off some very tough pitches, and he was able to draw the walk against Melton. That's excellent work. Randall Grichuk, part of that 7, 8, and 9, is in left field today. Again, thank you to Ian for that correction. I had that mixed up. This one will be roped third base line, and it's 2-1 here for the Royals. And if I'm AJ, no disrespect to Troy. Again, I like what he brings. They got Tyler Holton warm, but he was just getting up. You can go lefty-lefty here between Isbell and Yastrzemski. AJ is going to go grab the ball. So that's exactly what he needed to do right now, but Ducks are on the pond. We'll step right back. Still continue at the top of the 7th.
You don't want Belton going up against Isbell. It's not just the lefty-righty thing. Isbell, if you look at Isbell, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that he's one of the best 9-hole hitters in the MLB. I mean, listen to this. His average is 265. His on-base plus slugging is 684. Now his on-base plus slugging could be higher, but you have a 265 average for a 9-hole hitter.
That's beautiful stuff. And considering the type of elite defense that he plays, and I will say elite with that catch, whether it's above average or not, it's probably where it would be, but that catch he made against Green stopped the Tigers from taking a 5-2 lead. It's still 3-2. So, yeah, he's doing everything you need to do right now. And Tyler Holton's going to have to try to get the job done here with Ducks in the pond. He got first and second, 1 out in the top 7 as KC threatening. Now, there's not been a ton of run scoring, but you had the Tigers with 1 in the 3rd, and then 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th. You had 1 in the 4th and 1 in the 6th with the Bobby Witt Jr. solo shot off Melton in his first pitch. And now probably go Holton if he gets out of this, then Finnegan and Best. And then we'll see where we go. And for the Royals bullpen, who's been used a bit lately, we'll see what they go with throughout this game. I know Ian will be able to enlighten me with some of those other numbers as this game continues, but this one's still hanging in the balance. The good news for both of us is that the Rangers now have a 3-2 lead on the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes.
And the Blue Jays did fight off the Fish, which stinks for me, but 7-6, they beat Miami in 12. Inside on a cutter. Now, Tyler Holton, a couple of years ago, I would be singing his praises, one of the very best lefties in the planet of the MLB, but he's not had those same type of numbers. So this was looked at for Lofton. Nice play, McKinstry. Torres! It's a double play!
Yeah, Lofton. Look, I understand wanting to go righty against lefty, but Nick Lofton has a 206 average right now. He's not. And he tends to do that a lot. You don't put in a pinch hitter like that unless you know he's gonna get on base.
From what you just told me, Ian, I'm going to pretend I'm the coach here. I'm going to pretend I'm Q. You just gave me all that lofty praise for Kyle Isbell. I don't care if it's lefty until the Holton comes in. I'm keeping in Isbell.
Yeah.
I'm not shying away from a 260, and I don't care what the splits are. He's playing that well, and he made the great play that he's already made. He's got some hits and feel good. I'm not overthinking it. Obviously, AJ Hinch knew what he wanted to do. Whether you're going to bring in the lefty face to righty, you're going to trust Holton to try to get the job done. He gets it done in 3 pitches. His day might even be done. So we'll see what we get here as Tigers go bottom 7. I think I saw yesterday that NBA 2K might have released some player ratings, and tied with the 98 overall is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. So those are your 2 highest rated players for the game that comes out, I believe, in 3.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks or so. So we're going to get set here to go bottom 7 as this game's kind of breezed along. It usually does when I got Ian here on the broadcast with me. Again, every single one of these you get to do, I humbly appreciate. As Zach McKinstry will do battle here against Taylor Clark. What do you know about Clark? Do you have anything for me?
So, Taylor Clark, if you had talked to me last year or a couple years ago, I would have told you that Taylor Clark was not worth having in your bullpen. This year, he has been excellent. He has, let me get the stats here. Hopefully he doesn't give up big. He's a 3.29 ERA, and I'll pull up his stats.
McKinstry went on a 2-2 as he follows back a curveball outside the zone. Again, the one vote I had for the YouTube question, I said, how far can the Tigers get in the postseason? Is it the DS, the CS, or make the World Series? Must be a Tigers fan in here because he said make the World Series out of the only vote. I don't have them going that far, but I would like to see them get to the CS. I think same thing for Ian. He'd like to see his own team get to the CS. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think either one of us realistically are gonna. We're not gonna lie to you. We don't have World Series aspirations for either one of our teams. But if you make it that far, you take it.
No, I'm actually look. Depending on how I've already said, because if not the Royals, I do think the Mariners make it in. And with that, you know what? Okay, so hang on, I'll give you the down on Clark. He's a strikeout pitcher. He's pitched in 41 innings and has 33 strikeouts.
He did so against McKinstry to start. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's that. He's a strikeout pitcher and he's reliable. But back to what I was saying. You know what? I went wild with our predictions for the NHL. So I will do the same thing for this. If all 3 of our teams, or if only 2 of our teams make it in, one of us either
Nice catch by
myself,
India.
you, or Cooper Hopkins will call yourself a fan of the next World Series champion.
Are you serious? You're going that far, Ian?
John, what do I got to lose for my wild takes? I don't gamble, so this is just word of mouth.
But again, Ian, all we're really asking for is for the Royals to score some more runs. I see their pitching. I see their defense. I really like both. They score some runs. I could see that. The Mariners, they already have everything together. They just need to get out of their own head. They don't really need to add any more. Tigers, again, it's probably the same for you. It's a lot easier to be critical of your own team. I don't know about the Tigers. I'm just hoping the pitching can hold because the offense can be hot and cold. But boy, I would love to call one of our teams winning the World Series. Nothing would make me happier.
Yeah, but yeah, it's easier to criticize your own team. I'm sure. I don't know when the last time you talked to him was, but I'm sure Mr. Hopkins is going on radio silence for a bit because he needs to.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to talk about the Mariners right now.
He sent me an emoji, and what's the one with like the backwards smiley face or the upside down head? That's
yeah.
That's what he sent me.
Like either it's supposed to be maybe like a frown, or he's smiling through the pain. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what he said. He goes, I hope my team can get out of their way, and I hope that you were right about them sweeping, the Astros. Like, they're going to get through the Astros. Just get something against the Phillies. I sent him the day before that, and the Phillies had a 17-hit attack. So, yeah, you're right. That's kind of where it is for him. I don't think he would. Actually, I think he would. I think he's already said this, and I've left the recorder on for this, but I think he's mentioned we know about the Flames about being a team that's near and dear to his heart, but I think the Mariners are number one. If the Mariners make the World Series, that would be their first ever. But for them to win it, I think would mean more to him than anything in the world.
Yeah. I've said this before now, shifting gears here. The Flames are dear to his heart. He didn't come full on adopt the Kraken. But I've said this, that if Kansas City ever got a team, my allegiances to the Blues end, because it is Kansas City all the way.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I hope that happens, and I hope it happens sooner than later.
Yeah. I do like the fact that kept Yastrzemski in and haven't decided to pinch the grade. I don't know if they have anyone else to pinch him, but Yastrzemski is the best one, in my opinion, for this.
So right now, again, Lofton was used. You still got Luke Maley, Tyler Tolbert, and John Rave. It's not really anything that stands out to me that's played a ton of games. And Yastrzemski, Holton's still going to be going on this side of the matchup here, lefty-lefty. And then we'll see maybe what they'll do, because really the only other lefty of significance is then Vinnie Pasquantino. But this is the hard part of the order here that Tyler's going to have to navigate if they want a chance to close, make it 1-1, as he gets a really good pitch there on a sinker at 91. So Pasquantino at the top step, and Yaz will fight this off again. Another sinker at 91. Now for Tyler, he does not throw hard. That's the part of the scouting report. You're going to have to wait on it a little bit. He probably tops out about 92, 93, but he throws about 6 or 7 different pitches. So he will give you everything he can't afford to really sit on it. When he's at his best, he can locate. That's a beautiful sinker there. Tied him up in on the hands. There really was nothing Yaz could do. He's going to go 0 for 4 today, but honestly, probably should have already had 2 hits. There was nothing he could do there. That was a good pitch.
Yeah. Like I said, he's not a bad ball player, just an unlucky one.
Yeah, today more so than anything, and you're absolutely right. He had 2 rocket hits he didn't get anything on. And now Bobby Witt Jr. last time up hit a tank. It'd be a good time for another one. He's had a good ball game, 2 for 3. Single and a home run. He's always a threat to go deep. I don't really care what side of the plate it is anyway. I know he's just a righty batter, but whenever he goes, righty or lefty on the mound. 2-0 on a cutter. He's always a threat to steal as well. And if you got Pasquantino behind him, he's got his home run streak still going, I believe. 12-game hit streak for Bobby. He's hitting 422. And here's a solid single. This will split Riley Green. What goes? What's Riley doing? He's going to get 2. Oh, boy, that's a mistake for Riley Green. You cannot give up 90 feet at this portion of the ball game. It looked like he was just nonchalant there on his glove. It is Bobby Witt in from the batter's box. He just lost it out of his hand. That's, I will say, honestly, for Riley, I'm going to be as nice as I can. That is not commonplace for him, considering how many diving catches he makes. Now, Pasquantino, that's a bailout for Detroit. I know it gets Witt over to third, but I think he swung too early there. You'd like to see him lock into that one, try to launch. Leave it up to Maikel Garcia, but I think Detroit caught a break there. I know they got the extra 90 feet for Bobby, but he really should have done better there. Garcia can still do it, but I think AJ is going to go right to Will Vest. So this will be the biggest leverage that we get. This could be the ball game here. Will Vest coming in to go against Garcia. We'll come right back.
See, that right there is, look, I trust Garcia has come through in big time situations, so I have faith in him, but Vest has been on a different level.
Yeah, he's been a beast.
These past couple of years.
He just comes in, throws heat.
Without Jason Foley, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, they've done it without Foley. They've done it without, again, Foley's been up and down. There was one other guy that I'm thinking of. I can't believe I'm forgetting my own closer's name, but the one that threw a ton of curveballs all the time. He's not been available over the last couple of years because of injury. Just came back, and I think 2 days ago, not going to be available to pitch until he gets his legs underneath him. But you're right. Foley was the guy that they used a lot before. I can't believe I'm forgetting the other guy's name. I apologize to everybody that's a Tigers fan remotely. But yeah, Will Vest now and Finnegan, and they've been able to use Vest and Finnegan 8, 9, 9, 8 respectively. So we'll see if Vest is going to get a 4-out save or whatever the heck they want to do. But Witt's still at third. Alex Lang, that's who I was thinking of.
Yes, Mr. Lane.
Our wall-side window pitching change is Will Vest. He's on to keep this a 3-2 game. He'll face Maikel Garcia, who's reached base in 18 straight, but is 0 for 3 today. Will's got that slider fastball combo. Maikel Garcia is a pretty solid bat man.
Here's the biggest at-bat of the ball game, ladies and gentlemen. 2-out runner at third, Bobby Witt Jr. It's a 3-2 game. Will Vest coming in. Garcia half offer. He did not go. Make it 1-0 on a slider. Will Vest, when he's at his best, throws fastballs. 3 for 6 is Garcia with 2 strikeouts in this matchup against Will Vest. Hitting 500. You got to like that. And as Ian said, he comes through in leverage situations. So even if you're Detroit, if you're Will Vest, you could say, you know what, the heck with it with Garcia and try to go ahead and attack Salvador Perez. I know he's still a threat as well, but if you don't feel comfortable with Garcia hitting over 300, I don't blame Will Vest for walking him. 96, that one hurt Garcia as he followed it off his foot. There is no padding there. That was a fastball, and that one came back and bit him right on the top of his toes. He's going to need some time for this. So they're going to attend to Garcia, I hope, to goodness that he's okay, and so do all the Royals fans, because you can't afford to lose anybody like him. He's just going to need some extra time.
If we lost Garcia, we could just kiss the playoff hopes goodbye.
I would agree with you, because that's like for us losing Gleyber Torres or Green or Torque. I mean, you can't lose that. But Garcia looks okay. He looks no worse for the wear does Maikel Garcia as he gets a chance to dig back in. He took that one tough there off the right foot. 2-1. Still got count leverage, but you got to be wondering if the dogs are still barking at this point. You got that crown helmet on the top, those ear flaps. 95 and toward the hands, and give it a run is Torque, but that's too far from the netting. Make it 2-2. Still always like the effort though, nonetheless. Against Salvador, Perez would be next. There's empty spaces on first and second. It's Bobby Witt at third with 2 outs. Riley Green's misplay gave Witt the extra 90 feet from that single from first, and then just a little jam shot from the pizza man able to get him over to third. So we'll see. Garcia 2-2. 96 blew him away. Tigers go bottom 8, still up 3-2.
Yeah, John, I think it's safe to say you might have won this one because just.
That's the part of the order that scares me, but you're right. I think now that that's done, I feel better.
Yeah.
I think now with, I know we're saying the obvious, but with Salvi, you got one more in the 9th, but I think if it gets to that, and that's no disrespect to Royals fans if they're listening in on here, because I know a few, and I play games with a few of them, that I think the rest of the order I'm not too scared of as a regular fan of the Tigers. 7-0 Rangers against the Guardians to end the 4th. The Orioles are making a run at the Astros. Man, that game's going to go on forever because of the run scoring. 12 runs. The Astros are still up 7-5. The Orioles have one more out to play with before they go top 4. I got to watch that new video from Tree that he posted about the Minnesota Twins.
Oh, it is. As you may think, because the Twins are just bad. Have you ever seen his old Pirates videos, like when he was first starting out?
Some. I'll have to watch them though again. It's been a while.
Oh, it covers the season where eventually McCutchen and Cole got traded. I mean, like this is going back to the Clint Hurdle.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Tigers are going to have one more chance to add to any of their run scoring. Sam Long going to come out here to pitch the bottom 8th, and Ian Genge. Again, AJ loves to do this. He keeps all those guys available to him as far as what they want to move. As I got to fix my notes. I apologize here. Pull back up this box. Genge is going to go ahead and take the spot of Colt Keith as we're at the top of the order. 1-1. Now, Banez does not strike out a ton. As far as my numbers on him, he's got 19 strikeouts and 63 games played. He's missed some time, get some time in off the bench, the former Texas Ranger. But honestly, I think of Banez as someone I hold in dear regard when they end up beating the Astros because he had a game-winning hit on that last year. And I will always remember that because anytime you beat the Astros, they get a big smile on my face, and so does Cooper. So feel pretty good about that. But 252, 3 home runs, 20 RBI, 20 runs scored, 7 walks, just 19 strikeouts for the 32-year-old. He's up against it here, 1-2. 83. He went with that slider, but he hooked it way foul. Still a pretty good swing. Gleyber Torres and Kerry Carpenter at least in this eighth, and then they'll be try to close here for AJ Hinch's squad. Can't gain any games on the Blue Jays. Ibanez! This is at the track, it's gone! Andy Ibanez goes deep off the bench.
Yeah, I think. Well, hey John, it was good. It was a good chat. It's a good game, but we can go ahead and close. We can go ahead and close this one. I can tell you right now, the Royals are not taking the lead. Their only hope was that the pitching could hold it to one run and then try and squeak a tying run, but that's not happening.
That's how I was feeling too. You keep it within one with Salvi, and yeah, you got a chance. You can get some base hits. That's a huge extra run for Detroit. Again, in this game, as Ian and I have called, there has not been a lot of consecutive run scoring. In fact, there's just been single run scoring across the board in any of these given innings, and that is gigantic. Right off the bench, Andy Ibanez goes yard, and now Gleyber Torres. And the answer is Sam Long. I know we watched it a little bit from the look-in in the previous between the Texas Rangers, but I don't want to be mean to the young man, but I'm not seeing anything particular. When I saw 5.6 ERA, that makes me feel good with what he got in the bullpen. I know he's been used a lot lately, though. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but you don't want to fall behind in counts and then get up tanks.
Well, the thing about this is the primary guys in the bullpen are still. They were used a lot on the homestand, and it
Right.
was because they went 8-2. But at the end of it, they were just left with, they were left with. Look, Long is a better option than Fulter. It's not a debate. But they just don't have anyone that's rested right now.
Yeah, we talked about it in the beginning. I saw it across the stat sheet with Zerpa, who's thrown too many pitches. And if you don't have the rest, you don't have any other arms to use. You don't want to continually burn all the guys you're going to need later throughout the year.
Yeah.
So Gleyber Torres draws his walk. That is his second of the game. And now Kerry Carpenter is lifted for Winsell Perez. I know Royals fans will be very familiar with Perez, considering you see these guys in the division. Not as much anymore, as then they make you play like every team across Major League Baseball. But Perez has been pretty ridiculous since he's come back in from the injured list. I'll pull back up into my notes again. So for Perez, this will be game number 70. He's hitting 265, 10 home runs, 29 RBI, 19 walks. Again, 7 stolen bases, just 50 strikeouts, but he's one of the few switch bats in the lineup here for Detroit, and one of the only ones, really. But he's been very good. He was a big piece of this team last year. He got injured, missed some time. Parker Meadows missed a ton of time, and the Tigers made their Cinderella run. And Winsell Perez would have hit that as a home run, but that's way foul down the left field line. He's trying to keep it going here for Spencer Torkelson as the Tigers try to make their 9th inning a little bit easier. 93. It looked to be on time with these pitches right now. He's trying to hit it hard. 1-2 is the count. So it looks like we've dodged any sort of raindrops here, which is what I was hoping for. Any scattered are supposed to be a half hour to 45 minutes. Might start another 20. So this game should be done by then unless we get anything unforeseen. 84 and a slider, make it 2-2. Now, most times when I cover these games on the space and YouTube, I will not sit through rain delays or let alone schedule rain delay games. I always try to stick with those domes or clear sunny skies, but this was too good to have to cover. That is dead center right there for Perez, and he punches out. So Sam Long gets his first backwards K of the 8th. That's a sinker, and that's right there. Leave it up to Spencer Torkelson, who's gone yard earlier in this game. And then you still got Riley Green. So Tigers' most dangerous bats still available, although Andy Ibanez went deep in this inning. Check swing. No offer here for Torque. He's had a good day. He's 2 for 3. He's got a solo tank and a single. It was 27. So 30 home runs would be a nice round number. He figures he's going to easily get to that. Maybe even 35 would be nice to see. Riley Green's probably closer to 40 by the end of the year. That's always good for contract talks. 92. He just missed a center cut fastball, and that is caught by Lofton. And I'll leave it up now to Riley. Will be the last out here in the 8th. That's John Rave. So, excuse me, Lofton's come in for Rave. And that also relieved Isbell. So Isbell was used. You have Lofton used and now Rave in center field. So that's the last of the outfielders for KC. And 94. A little bit up is 1 and 3. Again, that's called a strike, but a little bit up from center, I should say. 264, 30 home runs for Riley. Strikeouts are apropos, but when he gets those uppercut swings and he times those, Riley can hit the ball as far as any. Now, again, he started his career as a center fielder, still a pretty young man, all things considered, at 24. They moved into the corner because they had Parker Meadows, who went down. Again, Winsell Perez, the play in the infield, he's usually out. But Riley Green in the left, he's not the fastest guy in the world, and that's why he's got to dive and do a lot of other things. But, man, he makes up for it. He makes some spectacular catches. Hopefully he'll be in a Tigers uniform for a long time. Now, when Curtis Granderson was here in 06 alongside with Justin Verlander, you made the trade for Jackson and Scherzer, so I understand losing one of my favorite players, but hopefully Riley Green gets to stay here for much longer than Curtis Granderson did. 2 and 2. You count against Riley. 92. Center cut. And this will be a ground ball. It's Andy Ibanez with a solo shot. No more. It's 4 too late for the Tigers as they try to take 2 games in this 3-game series. We'll go to the 9th.
You have a very good chance of taking this series, John, unless some magic happens. But Salvi is a wild card no matter the at bat. Frazier has been at least consistent, so I think he can get on base, but India is just, India is a double play candidate every time.
Can't have that now, and that's the obvious statement of the land. But I guess the one thing for me, as a Tigers fan saying this about the Royals going into the Open, we talked about the struggle scoring runs, and that's been apropos for the year for the Royals, and it's not a surprise. But against Chris Paddock, his ERA was like 5.65, and the WHIP was almost 140. I expected run scoring today, and for them to only get 1 through 5 innings for Chris Paddock, that's a failure. This was a game I had written off, and I'm saying that without the recorder and all that. I fully expected the Tigers to lose this game and for you to have some fun. Could they still go win 2 or 3 games in the series? Of course, but they were not supposed to win this game today, but there's 3 outs away from changing that potentially. Bobby Witt had a fantastic game, but it can't just be him. So we will go to the 9th, and we'll see what happens here. Again, it is going to be Salvador Perez now leading things off, as Will Vest going to try to get a 4-out save as we're at 5, 6, and 7. Last call here for KC. Again, there'll be one more game tomorrow at Comerica before next week these two teams meet again for 3 more. That'll be at the K. 1-1 slider way outside. Will Vest just 7 pitches into his day. He's got 1 out done, trying to get the final 3, 96. And that looked more of an obligatory take for Salvi. He's trying to get his 5th 4-out save of the season. And I remember AJ in the first part of the podcast with Jason Minetti, Dan Dickerson. He's the guy I trust in a nuclear disaster. That is what AJ said about Will Vest. He's the one I'm taking with me. He's the one I'm riding with. So that's the guy that AJ trusts the most in the highest leverage situations. Now, Salvi's numbers 0 for 8, 2 strikeouts against Will Vest. It's not often you see Salvi 0 for against anybody. 1 and 2. 87 off the end of the bat. Torque will take a look at it, but this should hit the netting. It's the second time in as many half innings here for Spencer Torkelson. They had a courtesy look toward first base, but that was way foul. Don't think there's going to be anybody warming up here for the Tigers unless there is another run scored at the moment. This is Will Vest's inning. 88 on a slider. Swing and a miss. Make it 0 for 9. And that's one of those things Ian's told me throughout this broadcast. But the swings for Salvi, he's free swinger. But when you get a lot of those 4 or 5 inches off the plate, you can't get an average of anything swinging at those. Leave it up to Frazier. 95 on the inside black. Make it 0-1. Perfect pitch. One of those examples that you don't have to overthrow. Just locate 95 is more than enough. And I say that 95 out of the crotch for Jake Rogers as it's 1-1, but nobody's on base. Tigers trying to close here. Take 2 of 3. If anything, they give themselves more cushion in the AL Central. He lands a slider, bullseye inside black. Just got the last of the stitching. You're not doing anything with that. 1 and 2. Try to put Frazier away. 96 up toward the kitchen. Who wants it? Here's a throw for McKinstry. 2 up, 2 down. And the Royals down to their last out. Leave it up to Jonathan India. He hasn't had a bad day today, all things considered, the 1 DP, but they're going to need to get some way to bridge to Randall Grichuk, and then we'll have to figure out whatever the heck's going to happen in the bottom of this order because there's not many bench bats left. 96 up top. Make it 1-0 against Jonathan, former Red. Will Vest trying to get a 4-out save here. The Comerica Park fans take 2 of 3 in this series. 96, right at center field. That's where Javi is. That's your ball game. Tigers win 4-2. Ian, I will see you again next weekend when we do another one of these at the K. I appreciate you staying with me throughout pretty much the entirety of this bowl game. I hope better for you, and I hope you get a win tomorrow against Jack Flaherty because the Tigers' deficit, or the Tigers' lead is big enough. I want to surrender a few of these games to you so you can get that WC spot. I hope you get it.
Yeah, well, what may help is if the Athletics can beat the
right, the M's.
Can beat the M's, and if Boston sweeps New York, I mean it helps.
We will talk soon. I'll see you sometime next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We do. We'll give you the respect you deserve and get you the money you need.
Tigers win the ball game 4-2. They take the series against KC. I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.